Hi everybody, today we'll be discussing about skeletal system, especially the bone tissue. Alright, so a bone is an organ made up of several different tissues working together, right? Bone is osseous tissue, cartilage, dense connective tissue, epithelium, adipose tissue, and nervous tissue. The entire framework of bones and their cartilages constitute the skeletal system. So the entire framework of bones and their cartilages constitute a skeletal system, yeah? Now, the study of bone structure and treatment of bone disorders is referred to as osteology. So if you really like bones and everything related to skeletal system, you may want to get like a PhD or study osteology. It is also a very interesting subject, yeah? All right, so how many bones are in human body? The average adult has 206 bones, 29 skull bones, 26 vertebral bones, 1 sternum, with 24 rib bones, 4 pectoral girdle, right, shoulder bones, with 60 upper limb bones, right, upper extremity. 2 pelvic girdle bones with 60 lower limb, lower extremity bones, okay? Excuse me, so that's the skull cranium, that's the mandible, clavicle, manubrium, we have scapula, which is a flat bone, we have sternum, which is also a flat bone, we have ribs, right, we have humerus, we have ulna, yeah, on the medial side, and radius on the lateral side. We have pelvic girdle, we have carpals, we have metacarpals, we have phalanges, right, femur, patella, which is sesamoid bone, tibia, fibula, tarsals, metatarsal, phalanges. We have sacrum, we have coccyx right here, right? We have lumbar, right? We have lumbar vertebrae, right? Thoracic vertebrae, cervical vertebrae, yeah, we have spinal column. Very soon I'll be uploading video on brachial plexus, and we'll be talking about different nerves, and we'll talk about innervations, which vertebrae does it come from, etc. So we'll discuss it. The skeletal system is the framework that supports and protects the body, made up of bones, cartilage, ligaments, and joints. I'll be making a video on ligaments, tendons, joint, cartilages, etc. very soon, yeah? It has several essential functions. What are the functions of skeletal system? First is support. It provides structure and shape to the body. It provides protection, right? Shields vital organs. Skull protects the brain, ribcage protects the hearts and lungs, right? These are all vital organs, yeah? Movement works with muscles to allow motion. Blood cell production, red marrow within bones produces blood cells, yeah? Storage stores minerals like calcium and phosphorus and fats. That's why many doctors would suggest you, drink more milk or eat products that may have calcium because it helps your bones. Why? Because they're stored in the bones, right? And also fats. And phosphorus is also incredibly important for our brain, for our bone health, yeah? Skeletal division. So one axial skeleton includes the skull vertebral column, rib cage, supports and protects the organs, right? Ossicles, inner ear, hyoid bone, right here. So skull and rib cage and vertebral column are all axial skeleton, okay? They're all part of axial. Appendicular, like includes limbs, shoulders, pelvis, involved in the movement. So shoulder, right here. This is the arm, forearm, hand. Pelvic girdle, we also have legs, and we have foot, okay? They're all a part of appendicular skeleton. Alright, so it is an incredible system that constantly renews itself through bone remodeling. It is a very important part of our life, right? Bone remodeling. Imagine having a fracture that never gets healed. Imagine not having bones at all. We'll be like squishing like a flat, like a flat gooey thing on the floor, right? Without bones, we are nothing, yeah? All right, so bone tissue and homeostasis, right? Mineral storage and release. Bones are calcium and phosphorus. They store calcium phosphorus, releasing them into the bloodstream as needed to regulate mineral levels, right? So they release it to regulate the mineral levels, yeah? Blood cell production. The bone marrow within the spongy bone produces red and white blood cells, right, ensuring proper oxygen transport and immune function. Bone remodeling. Old bone tissue is constantly replaced with new bone through osteoclasts. Osteoclasts are bone cells, right? Bone resorption and osteoblasts, bone formation, yeah? Osteoblasts build bones, right? Whereas osteoclasts what they do is reabsorb, right? Adapting to stress and injury. Structural support and protection. Bones provide a framework for the body, protect vital organs, and assist in movement. Energy storage. Yellow bone stores triglycerides, serving as an energy reserve. Bone homeostasis, essential for overall health, ensuring strength, flexibility, and metabolic balance. Structure of the bone. Compact bone, spongy bone, bone marrow, and periosteum. Very important. Compact bone is dense, hard outer layer that provides strength. Spongy bone is porous. It has pores in it. Lightweight inner layer that contains bone marrow. Bone marrow found inside certain bones, responsible for producing blood cells. Periosteum, a tough connective tissue sheath covering the bone, aiding in growth and repair. All right, now here is articular cartilage, cancellous bone. We have epiphyseal plate. Okay, we have marrow cavity. Right, if somebody asks you where's the marrow cavity, say medullary cavity. Okay, periosteum, very important for nourishment. Yeah, and it also aids in growth and repair. Compact bone. Right, well, this particular part until the epiphyseal plate is epiphysis. Right. This is a diaphysis, and this is again epiphysis on both the sides. And that's where it grows, right? Okay. Bone surface markings, and we also have bone surface markings, and you will have to remember them. Bone surface marking are projections and depressions found in bones. They help us to identify the location of other body structures such as muscles. There are three general classes of bone marking. One is articulation, projection, and holes. Yeah. An articulation is where two bone surfaces come together. As the name implies, an articulation is where two bone surfaces come together as an articulus joint. Yeah? These surfaces tend to conform to one another. They're conforming to each other. They're like pairs, such as one being round and other being cupped. You know, like if you remember lock and key model in biochemistry, articulations are just like that. They stick to each other, okay, to facilitate the function of the articulation, right? Projections. A projection is an area of a bone that projects above the surface of the bone, right? We have transverse processes, right, on vertebral column, remember? All right, so these are the attachment points of tendons and ligaments. In general, their size and shape is an indication of forces exerted to the attachment of the bone. Excuse me. Holes. A hole is an opening or a groove in the bone that allows blood vessels and nerves to enter the bone, right? As with other marking, their size and shape reflect the size of the cell, nerves that penetrate the bone at these points. Now, size and shape, for majority of them, depend on their function. Okay, we'll see. All right, what is a marking? Depression or opening, size allowing the passage of soft tissues, nerves, blood vessels, ligaments, tendons, or formation of joints, right? So, what is a fissure? Yeah, narrow slit between adjacent parts of bone through blood vessels and nerve paths, right? So, we have a fissure. We have a foramen. Foramen is nothing but a hole, which is a plural of foramina. Opening through which blood cells, nerves, or ligament pass. A fossa, shallow depression is fossa. It's like a trench, okay? All right, sulcus, all right, it's a groove, plural sulci, furrow along the bone surface that accommodates blood vessel, nerve, or tendon. Meatus, passageway, tube-like opening, right? Processes, projections, outgrowth on bone that form joints or attachment points for connective tissue, such as ligaments and tendons, okay? Condyle, you know, we've discussed a lot about epicondyle, okay? So, and we are going to discuss about epicondyles, right? So, large round protuberance with a smooth articular surface at the end of the bone, all right? We have facet, all right? Smooth, flat, slightly concave, or convex articular surface. We have facet. Head, usually rounded articular projection supported on neck, right? We've heard of humeral heads, right? Okay. Processes that form attachment points for connective tissue. Crest, okay, iliac crest. How many of you remember that? Okay, prominent ridge or elongated projection. Epicondyle, typically roughened projection above the condyle. Whenever you hear the word epi, it means on top, right? Epidermis, epiphyseal, etc., etc. Okay. Line, linea aspera. How do you remember that? Okay. Long, narrow ridge or border, less prominent than a crest. Okay, so linea aspera. Do you remember that? Okay, spinous process, sharp, slender projections, right? We've heard of spinous process in vertebral columns, yeah? Trochanter, greater trochanter, lesser trochanter. Okay, very large projection is trochanter, tubercle. right? Tubercle is like a knob, okay? Variably size, greater tubercle, lesser tubercle, rounded projection, right? We remember that. Tuberosity. How many of you remember deltoid tuberosity from my last lecture with upper limb muscles, yeah? Variably size projection that has a rough, bumpy surface. If you haven't watched that video about, my upper limb muscles, go ahead and watch it. All right, types of bones based on the shape. The shape of the bones largely determine their functions, yes? So one is a long bone, which is humerus, yeah? One is a flat bone, that is sternum, right here. It's a medial, right? Flat bone, which is a sternum, right? Now we have irregular bone, vertebrae. These are all the vertebrae, right? Irregular bone. This is patella, sesamoid bone, patella. These are short bone. Trapezoid, wrist bones are short bone, yeah? So average adult have 206 bones, amongst them long bones 90, short bones 28, flat bones 36, sesamoid bones 4, irregular bones 48. Okay? Now, long, short, flat, sesamoid, irregular are all subjective words. Okay, just because it says long doesn't mean it has to be a particular size. It just means it's longer than it's wide. Okay? So understand that. Okay, a long bone is a type of bone that is longer than it is wide, primarily found in the limbs. These bones provide support, mobility, and leverage for movement, and that's why they are long. Why? Because chances are we're going to use it for support, mobility, and leverage. Okay? Imagine not having a long humerus or a long femur bone, a short one. It's not going to carry you forward. Yeah. All right. If you have it, then you need to get it checked. Okay. All right. So examples of long bones. Clavicle is a long bone, right? There you go. There's your clavicle. Humerus is a long bone. Radius is a long bone. Ulna is a long bone. As you can see, it's longer than it's wide. Okay. So in the legs, we have femur, we have tibia and fibula. Okay. Imagine having a wider tibia and fibula. Do you think you will be able to walk? No, right? So that's a long bone. Examples of long bone include femur, tibia, fibula, humerus, radius, ulna, metacarpals, metatarsals, and phalanges. Yeah? As you can see, even the phalanges are longer than it's wide. Imagine having a wide phalanges. Do you think you will be able to hold your pen? Okay, it's not possible. All right, so it's common sense, okay? A structure of a long bone. Diaphysis, the central shaft composed of compact bone providing strength. This whole part is diaphysis, okay? Epiphysis, the rounded ends containing spongy bone and red bone marrow for blood cell production. So these are your epiphysis, right? This is proximal epiphysis and this is distal epiphysis, okay? This is like the two ends, okay? All right, metaphysis. Metaphysis is right here, okay? The region between diaphysis and epiphysis is metaphysis. Meta means between, right? Right? Remember Facebook, and remember that it's called meta. Why? Because it is in the middle of growth, okay? Remember that. Housing the epiphyseal plate, growth plate, and growing bones, right? Epiphyseal plate is where the bones actually grow from, okay? Medullary cavity, the hollow space inside the diaphysis containing yellow bone marrow. This here is a yellow bone marrow, and this whole cavity here inside is the medullary cavity. When someone asks you, where do you find yellow bone marrow for fat storage, or where is fat stored? Well, there's a cavity in the bone. It's called a medullary cavity. Okay, so remember that. Periosteum, a fibrous membrane covering the bone, aiding in growth, repair, and nourishment. So if you get a question saying, why do you think we even have a periosteum? What does it do? Or what is the importance of periosteum? Say, it's very important. It's a fibrous membrane covering the bone, aiding in growth, repair, and nourishment. Okay? So it protects, right? Articular cartilage, a smooth cartilage layer at joint surfaces, at joints, as you can see right here, it's a cartilage. A smooth cartilage layer at the joint surfaces, reducing friction and absorbing shock. Yeah, chances are you're going to walk on a long bone, right? You're going to pull something or lift something. It provides support and mobility. Whenever you have mobility, chances are you will need a shock absorbing something there, right? All right, functions of long bones. Support and protection. Forms a rigid framework of the body, shields vital organs, mineral storage, holds calcium, phosphorus, releasing them as needed, right? Because chances are we also have a wider medullary cavity which stores yellow bone marrow, and we also have a red bone marrow. Yeah. All right. So blood supply, regular facility, nutrient exchange through its vascular network. Yes, bones have vascularization too. It has arteries, it has nerves. Yeah, it requires drainage system. Okay, the bone remodeling works with osteoblasts. Okay, one of the cells in osteoclast to maintain bone health. For building, osteoblasts are important, and for cutting, reabsorption as to osteoclasts are important. We have another cells which are called as osteoprogenitor cells, and we'll learn about it soon. Okay, so as you can see, this is the dissected long bone, right? So that's a spongy bone right here. This is bone cavity, and this is a compact bone, right? We saw until here we have epiphyseal line, so that's this is like a proximal, and the lower area will be distal epiphysis. And looking at it, this is yellow bone marrow. This here is yellow bone marrow, and this here is the medullary cavity. Here you have red bone marrow. Okay, so like I said, this is a dissected image. If you want to see an animated image, you have it right here. Okay. Short bones are small cube-shaped bones that provide stability and support with minimal movement. They are more for stability and support. They are primarily composed of spongy bone, right? Where you have spongy bone, you would have limited movement, okay, minimal movement usage. Covered by a thin layer of compact bone. So around it, it has compact, but inside this transverse section, you can see it's spongy. These bones help absorb shock, distribute weight, and stabilize joints. So it has a very important role, right? It stabilizes joints. It may be spongy, and the reason why it's spongy, why? Because it acts like a buffer system, okay? Absorbing shocks. Try to walk on a flat surface, without flip-flops. Don't wear anything and try to walk, and you can actually feel there's something that is shocking you, okay? So what do you need? You need a shock absorber, right? So that is like a naturally gifted shock absorber, okay? So go ahead and try doing it, and you'll understand what I'm saying. Okay, structure of sharp bone. Outer layer, thin layer of compact bone, provides strength and protection. Inner core is made up of spongy bones, cancellous bones, that's what they call it, right? It's just like a second name for spongy, which contains red bone marrow for blood cell production. Yeah. Trabeculae, a network of bony struts that help distribute stress and absorb the impact. This whole thing is trabeculae. Periosteum is fibrous membrane covering the bone, aiding growth and repair. All right. So carpals can be considered as short bone, and like I said, they are very important with regards to shock absorbing. So trabeculae right here. Okay. All right, location of short bone can be wrist, ankle, patella. All right, short bones are found in areas requiring support and flexibility. Wrist carpal bones include the scaphoid, lunate, tracheatrium, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. Okay, ankle includes the calcaneus, talus, navicular, cuboid, three cuneiform bones. Patella sometimes classified as short bone, but it's actually a sesamoid bone. Okay, we'll talk about it. Though often considered as the sesamoid bone. Okay, the reason why it may be classified as short bone because it's very short. Okay, it's wider than it's long. That's what the definition is. All right, short bone, like I said, scaphoid bone number 1 right here, lunate right here. We have tracheatrium right number 3. Then we have pisiform right here, a little round circular. Hamate is right here, this little thing. Capitate is right here, number 6. We have trapezoid, number 7. And we have trapezium, number 8, right here. These are all carpal wrist bones. And now let's talk about tarsal ankle bones. Number 1 is talus. Number 2 is calcaneal, right? Calcaneus, right? We have number 3, which is navicular. We have number 4, which is cuboid, right here. Number 5 is medial cuneiform, right here. Intermediate cuneiform, right here. These are all the metatarsals, right? Number 6 in intermediate, because right here. And 7 is lateral, okay? 5th would be medial, and 7th is the lateral, okay? 4 is cuboid. So these are all the short bones. What is sesamoid bone? A sesamoid bone is a small round bone embedded. These two are sesamoid bone with a tendon. It's usually within a tendon. These bones help reduce friction, modify pressure, and increase mechanical advantage in certain joints. The most well-known sesamoid bone in the human body is the patella, which sits within the quadriceps. Tendon improves leverage for knee extension. While they serve an important biomechanical function, sesamoid bones can sometimes be prone to injury, inflammation, leading to conditions like sesamoiditis. A lot many people cannot sit on their knees. Okay, it hurts them every time. Let's say if they're doing Pilates or exercising, sometimes they hurt their knees. All right, so that's why, yes, they're very important for biomechanical function, but they can be prone to injury and inflammation. You'll see a lot many people trying to touch their knees and they can actually feel that it's hurting them. Okay, where there is inflammation, there is pain. Okay. All right, structure of sesamoid bones. Sesamoid bones have a specialized structure that sets them apart from other bones in the body, embedded in tendons. Unlike other bones, sesamoid bones are not directly connected to other bones, but they are embedded within tendons. So they are not singular. They're not independent. They have to be embedded within tendons. They don't stand alone like humerus. They don't stand alone like femur. They're independent, okay? They're not independent, excuse me. This position allows them to modify pressure and reduce friction in joints. So they're important for modification and reduction of friction, okay? Compact bone, exterior, outer layer consists of dense compact bone, which provides durability and protection. Yeah, spongy bone, interior. Beneath the compact bone, spongy bone is present, featuring trabeculae that help distribute mechanical forces. So outside we have compact, inside we have spongy, which distributes mechanical forces, but on the outside we are all about durability and protection, okay? There you go. No direct marrow cavity. Unlike long bones, sesamoid bones lack a centralized marrow cavity, but may contain small amounts of red marrow within the trabeculae. So it does contain red marrow. No direct marrow cavity, you know. Periosteum covering. They're surrounded by periosteum, a thin fibrous tissue that aids in nutrient supply and healing, okay? Their structure enables them to act as fulcrums, improving the efficiency of tendons and muscles and movements like walking, gripping, right? The patella kneecap is the largest sesamoid bone, but smaller sesamoid bones also exist in the hands and the feet, right? We just saw that, right? Right? We saw these little two sesamoid bones, right? Okay. A location of sesamoid bone. Sesamoid bones are found in areas where tendons pass over joints, right? We just saw knee. Help to reduce the friction, improve mechanical efficiency. Patella, kneecap, the largest sesamoid bone, embedded in quadriceps tendon. Feet found beneath the first metatarsal big toe joint, assisting with weight distribution. Hands located within tendons of the thumb at metacarpophalangeal joint, okay? Wrists, some individuals have small sesamoid bones within the wrist tendons. So these bones vary in size and presence from person to person, particularly in the hands and the feet, okay? They play a crucial role in movement and reducing wear on tendons. You can try to touch your knees and you can actually feel it. You can try to touch those little two sesamoid bones on your feet, and you can also try to do the same on your hands, on your wrist, and you can actually feel that, okay? Okay, so sesamoid bones right here, okay? You will also have knee, okay, so you can actually feel the patella right here. And you have this little pisiform right here, okay? So that would actually help you understand. All right, irregular bone. Irregular bones are a unique category of bones that don't fit into the typical shapes of long, short, flat, or sesamoid bones, right? They don't really have any particular shape. They actually form within the human body. Their complex shapes allow them to serve specialized functions. So you may say they are not typical, but they do have specialized functions, right? They typically have a combination of compact outside and spongy bone inside, providing strength and flexibility, right? These bones often serve protective, supportive, movement-related roles, sometimes housing critical structures like spinal cord. Yeah, vertebrae form the spinal column. Imagine not having a vertebrae at all. it will be very difficult for humans to survive without one, yeah? Protecting the spinal cord while allowing movement. Pelvic bones support the body's weight and enable complex hip movements. Facial bones such as sphenoid and ethmoid bone, which contribute to the structure of the skull. So facial bones, we have pelvic bones, support the body's weight and enable complex hip movements. Yeah. So it's irregular, but imagine how important it is. All right. Pelvic bones are different between male and female, recognized at birth. Yeah. Facial bones such as sphenoid and ethmoid bone, which contribute to the structure of the skull. Irregular bones are essential for stability and protection while adapting to body's mechanical needs. So very important for stability and protection. Irregular bones are a very important part of skeletal system because they have specialized ability, in maintaining our framework. Okay. Imagine not having facial bones. Imagine not having vertebrae. Imagine not having pelvic bones. Okay. All right. So irregular bones, we have ethmoid right here. We have temporal, we have sphenoid, we have inferior nasal concha, all right, zygomatic bone, we have maxilla, which is irregular, right, it has no shape. Mandible, we have hyoid bone, right, hyoid bone is very important for inhalation and exhalation, yeah. We have vertebrate column, extremely important, and sacrum, okay. Imagine not having irregular vertebrate column. What would you do? They're all the same size, so it doesn't really work. It changes from human to human, okay? All right. Hip bones, vertebrate column, 7 cervical, thoracic 12, lumbar 5, sacrum, coccyx, hyoid bone. We have temporal bone, ethmoid bone, sphenoid bone, maxilla, zygomatic bone, mandible, inferior nasal concha right here, palatine bone, which is inside the palate. Ear ossicles, ear ossicles, right? Milius incus and stapes, okay? Stapes may be the smallest irregular bone. All right. Flat bones are thin, broad bones that serve important protective structural functions in the body. Unlike long or short bones, they are designed more for shielding vital organs and providing muscle attachments points than for movement, okay? Parietal bone, frontal bone, temporal bone, nasal bone, maxilla, mandible, zygomatic bone, occipital bone, all right? Now this is a very good image of flat bone. Periosteum on the outside, spongy bone on the inside, and compact bone on the outside because it provides durability and stability. Spongy bone would provide flexibility, okay? So flat bones are designed more for shielding vital organs and providing muscle attachment points than for movement, okay? Outer compact bone provides strength and durability. Inner spongy bone contains trabeculae that helps absorb impact and house bone marrow, okay? No medullary cavity, unlike long bones. Flat bones lack a central marrow cavity, so there's no medullary cavity in the flat bone, okay? Which is actually a very good question in the exams. What kind of bone doesn't have any medullary cavity? That's when you say flat bone, okay? Scapula is also a flat bone. You will not find any cavity in scapula, okay? Flat bones, skull bones, like the frontal, parietal, occipital bones protecting the brain. Sternum is more like a breastbone, shields the heart and the lungs, right? As you can see, these are all the vital organs. When you're trying to protect something so vital, it is essential to have that as the main function, okay? There's no point in having a medullary cavity inside you when you're actually trying to protect a vital organ, right? Forms the rib cage protecting the chest and the organs. Scapula provides attachment point for muscles that move arm and shoulder. Yes, so very important. Flat bones play a crucial role in both protection and hematopoiesis, blood cell production, as they contain red bone marrow. Bone tissue contains several specialized cell types that work together to maintain bone structure and repair damage and regulate mineral balance. Okay, so types of cells in bone tissue are at least 4 types, okay? Osteoblasts, these are bone forming. Osteoblasts build bones, okay? Cells responsible for producing bone matrix and initiating mineralization. They're found in growing areas of bone such as periosteum and endosteum, right? Osteocytes are mature bone cells that originate from osteoblasts, okay? So mature osteoblasts are osteocytes, okay? They actually got promoted to osteocytes, okay? They're embedded within the bone matrix and help maintain bone tissue, regulate mineral exchange, and communicate with other bone cells. Osteoclasts are large multinucleated cells that break down and resorb bone tissue. They play a crucial role in bone remodeling and calcium regulation. So osteoclasts are very important for bone remodeling and calcium regulation. Yeah. Osteoprogenitor cells, stem cells that differentiate into osteoblasts. They are found in periosteum, bone marrow, contribute to bone growth and repair. These cells work in balance to ensure bones remain strong, adaptable, and responsive to physiological needs. Okay, so stem cells that differentiate into osteoblasts. Osteoprogenitor cells are stem cells that have differentiated. When the cell goes through determination, specification, differentiation, stem cells, are the ones that got differentiated. Osteoprogenitor cells, osteogenic cells, okay? They're found in periosteum, okay? Very important part of storage of nutrients. And bone marrow contribute bone growth and repair, okay? These cells work in balance to ensure bones remain strong, adaptable, responsible to physiological needs. Why? Because they are repairing it and also building it, so they are responding to physiological needs, okay? Alright, so osteoprogenitor cells undergo cell division, develop into osteoblasts, which secrete bone extracellular matrix, okay? So this is osteoprogenitor cells. They develop into osteoblasts, forms bone extracellular matrix. Now mature osteoblasts, they change into osteocyte. As you can see, it has all the projections outside, yeah? Maintains bone tissue, now they're fibrous. Osteoclasts from white blood cell lineage. Osteoclasts function reabsorption, the breakdown of bone extracellular matrix, okay? So if you see this, all right, and then you see this, and this is the osteoclast, okay? This is the osteocyte, and this is the osteoblast, okay? Compact bone tissue, also known as cortical bone, is the dense, hard outer layer of bones that provides strength, support, and protection. It makes up about 80% of human skeleton and is essential for maintaining structural integrity. Osteones, Haversian systems, they are called Haversian system, cylindrical structures that contain blood vessels and nerves, ensuring nutrient exchange. Lamellae, concentric rings of bone matrix that strengthen the tissue, okay? Lacunae, small spaces housing osteocytes, okay? Osteocytes are mature osteoblasts, okay? The mature bone cells. Canaliculi, the tiny channels connecting osteocytes for communicating and nutrient transport. Haversian Volkmann canals, pathways. Haversian and Volkmann canals are pathways for blood vessels ensuring bone nourishment, okay? Bone tissue is organized in concentric lamellae around an osteonic canal and compact bone, and in irregularly arranged lamellae in the trabeculae in the spongy bone, okay? So this is compact bone on the outside, this is spongy bone on the inside, and in the spongy bone we have medullary cavity, and this outside is a protective layer of periosteum. Whenever you hear peri, it has to be on the outside, okay? Like perimeter, okay? Periscope, etc., etc. This here is the medullary cavity. This here is trabeculae. This is internal circumferential lamellae. All right, this here outside is spongy. This fully is compact, okay? This here in the middle is interstitial lamellae. Now this is external circumferential lamellae, right? These are concentric lamellae, very important for the matrix, right? It protects this here is osteone, right? Now these two are blood vessels. This here is canaliculi. This is osteocyte, blood cells. Lacunae, this here is lacunae. This periosteal vein, periosteal artery. This here is periosteum, outer fibrous layer, and this is inner osteogenic layer. This here is osteonic canal. This here is interosteonic Volkmann's or perforating canal. Here is perforating Sharpie's fibers. Okay, so this whole part is compact bone. This here is trabeculae within the spongy bone. These are all lamellas. Here, as you can see, that is also a lamella. Okay. Spongy bone tissue, also known as cancellous bone, trabecular bone, is a porous type of bone found inside various bones of the body. It is highly vascularized, yes, contains red bone marrow, which plays a crucial role in blood cell production. This here is a space for red bone marrow. These are projections, they are called as trabeculae. This here is lacunae. This here is lamellae. This here is canaliculi. This here is osteocyte. This little thing here is osteoblast. Osteoblasts aligned along trabeculae of a new bone. Okay. Structure and location of spongy bone. Spongy bone is composed of a lattice-like network called trabeculae, which gives it sponge-like appearance. It is typically found ends of long bones, epiphysis, inside vertebrae, ribs, skull bones, and pelvic bones. Unlike compact bone, which forms a hard outer layer, spongy bone is lighter and more flexible, helping to reduce overall weight of the skeleton. Porous structure. Unlike dense compact bone, spongy bone has a porous structure. Why? Because it has trabeculae. Trabeculae look like honeycomb, right? We just saw it. The structures reduce overall weight of bone while still providing strength. Okay. They're also used for absorbing shocks. Trabeculae, it's composed of a network of trabeculae, which are thin lattice-like structures that form a mesh-like network. These trabeculae are aligned along lines of stress to provide maximum strength and resist compression forces from different directions. Okay. Osteocytes. Spongy bone contains osteocytes, which are mature bone cells found in spaces called lacunae. Alright, these cells regulate bone formation and growth. Okay, osteocytes are mature osteoblasts. Okay, they've already pre-built cells. Okay, blood vessels and bone marrow. The spaces between the trabeculae are filled with blood vessels and bone marrow. Red bone marrow, responsible for producing red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets, is primarily found in spongy bone. Alright, so this is trabecular bone, this is cortical bone. This here is cortical bone, and this is trabecular bone, right? Spongy bone, compact bone, right? Lamellar, this here is Haversian canal. Outside is periosteum for protection. This here, canaliculus. Now these are nerves, the yellow color. That here is Volkmann's canal. This is arteries, okay? This here is endosteum. This is venous sinus for drainage, okay? So what is the function of spongy bone? Shock absorption, blood cell production, mineral storage, structural support. Yeah. Trabecular network helps cushion impact forces, protecting the denser compact bone. Blood cell protection, red bone marrow within the spongy bone is responsible for hematopoiesis, right? The process for generating red and white blood cells. Mineral storage, spongy bone stores essential minerals like calcium, phosphorus, which are released into the bloodstream. Okay. Structural support, it helps distribute mechanical loads and stress, making bones strong yet lightweight. Spongy bone plays a vital role in maintaining skeletal health and function, right? As you can see here again, trabeculae, endosteum, lamellae, canaliculi, openings on the surface. These here are again lamellae, okay? Osteoblasts align along the trabeculae of the new bone, okay? These are all the osteoblasts. This is osteoclast. These here are osteocyte. These are lacunae. So what is the blood supply of bone? Okay. Now, bones is richly supplied by blood vessels. Okay. Blood supply of a mature long bone. Periosteal arteries, small arteries that enter the bone through Workman's canal supplying the periosteum and outer compact bone. Nutrient artery, a large artery that passes through the nutrient foramen, branching into proximal and distal sections to nourish the inner compact bone, spongy bone, and bone marrow. So as you can see, epiphyseal artery, vein, epiphyseal line right here. We can see metaphysis right here. And all the artery in the metaphyseal region is called as metaphyseal artery, metaphyseal vein. Here is medullary cavity, the compact bone, the nutrient vein. These are all medullary cavity, nutrient vein are in diaphysis, right? This is periosteum, right? That's why we said periosteum is very important for nutrient storage, okay? Metaphyseal and epiphyseal arteries, these arteries supply the ends of long bones, ensuring proper growth and maintenance, right? Because usually our bones, they grow on the two ends, proximal and distal ends, okay? Nutrient veins, epiphyseal veins, and periosteal veins help drain deoxygenated blood from the bone. So epiphyseal vein and nutrient veins, they are deoxygenating blood from the bones. Back to vena cava. All right, so nerve supply of the bone. The blood and nerve supply of the bones is essential for growth, repair, and homeostasis. So sensory nerves found in the periosteum, these nerves detect pain, making bone injuries particularly painful, okay? Found in the periosteum, okay? If you have a fracture, God forbid you don't, but if you do, you'll realize how painful it is, okay? Autonomic nerves regulate blood flow within the bone, ensuring proper circulation and nutrient delivery. Nerves in Haversian canal, Workman canals, these nerves accompany blood vessels, helping coordinate bone remodeling and repair, right? We just saw there were two arteries coming out of Haversian and Workman's canal, okay? These are nerves right here. These are arteries, periosteum, right? Medullary cavity, yellow marrow, arteries and veins, cartilage, proximal, distal, diaphysis, okay? And somewhere here, you'll see metaphysis. All right, bone growth is a complex biological process that ensures bones develop strength and adapt throughout life. It occurs through ossification, where new bone tissue forms and replaces cartilage or existing bone, okay? Factors influence bone growth, growth hormones, stimulate bone formation and elongation, okay? Calcium and vitamin D, essential for mineralization and strength. Physical activity, weight-bearing exercises promote bone density. Genetics determine bone size, shape, and growth potential. Recent studies suggest that PDE3 inhibitors, commonly used for heart condition, may also stimulate bone growth by enhancing calcium influx